Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're about to embark on a pretty cool journey today. We're diving deep into South America. We're going to uncover some really fascinating stuff about its geography, history, and the amazing cultures that make it so unique.
Yeah, it really is a continent full of surprises. I think
Yeah,
when most people think of South America, the first thing that comes to mind is probably just its sheer size. I mean, it's the fourth largest continent in the world.
that's big.
But what's really interesting, what really intrigues me is how it's often called the hollow continent.
The hollow continent.
Oh.
Okay, that sounds kind of mysterious. What does that even mean? Is it like literally hollow?
No, 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 not literally hollow, of course. It refers to the fact that most of the population lives around the edges of the continent,
Oh, interesting.
and that leaves the interior sparsely populated.
So like all the action's happening on the coast.
Yeah, you've got these bustling coastal cities, but then inland you have these massive, expansive landscapes, rainforests, mountain ranges, deserts, relatively untouched. It's really incredible.
So why is that? Why do people seem to cling to the coast? Is it all about like the beach life?
Well, there are a few reasons for that. The Andes Mountains, for one, they run right down the western spine of the continent, and they play a huge role.
I mean, I've seen pictures. They're impressive.
We're talking about the longest mountain range on Earth,
Ah,
with peaks that go over 6,900 meters high. That's taller than anything in North America.
yeah, I can see how that might make it a little tricky to settle inland.
Exactly. They act as like a natural barrier. It makes travel and development difficult. Plus, the Andes also affect the climate. You get what's called a rain shadow effect.
A rain shadow, is that like some sort of weather magic?
Well, it's pretty fascinating. The mountains basically block the moisture that's coming in from the Pacific Ocean. So you end up with lush rainforests on one side, the western slopes facing the ocean. But on the other side, on the eastern side, it's much drier. So you get deserts and grasslands.
So it's like two totally different worlds on the same continent.
Exactly. And then, of course, you have the Amazon rainforest, which covers a huge part of the continent's interior. I mean, it's so vast, teeming with life. It's often called the lungs of the earth. I mean, it produces so much of the world's oxygen. It's incredible.
It sounds like something out of a movie. All those exotic plants and animals.
Yeah, it is. But sadly, it is facing some threats.
Well, I've heard about that.
Deforestation and climate change, it puts a lot of pressure on this fragile ecosystem.
This is really sad.
It is. It's a reminder that we really need to protect these natural wonders that we have.
Yeah, for sure. So we've got these huge mountains, vast rainforests, and then dry deserts. It's kind of wild how much variety there is. I could see how all of that would influence where people choose to live. But let's talk about the history of the continent. I mean, where do we even begin?
Well, the story of South America goes way back, at least 15,000 years ago.
15,000 years. Wow.
That's when humans are thought to have first arrived.
Okay, so they would have crossed over from Asia.
Right, via the Bering Land Bridge. And then they slowly made their way down through North and Central America.
Wow. That journey just blows my mind.
And those early settlers, they went on to create some really remarkable civilizations.
Like who?
Well, like the Supe civilization, they developed one of the world's oldest cities, even older than the pyramids of Egypt.
Really? I had no idea. I always think of Egypt as being the oldest, so what else did they build?
Sadly, much of their history is still a bit of a mystery.
Well,
We do know that they were a very sophisticated society, though. Advanced agriculture, architecture, even astronomy.
that's incredible. And then, of course, there's the Inca Empire, right?
Yeah.
I mean, their legacy seems to be everywhere, from Machu Picchu to their textiles and everything.
The Inca were a powerful force, yeah. They built a huge empire that stretched down the Andes. They had sophisticated roads, complex social structure, and a really deep connection to nature.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Their stonework is just amazing, still today.
But then, of course, everything changed with the arrival of the Europeans. Yeah. And that must have had a huge impact on the continent.
It definitely did. The Spanish and the Portuguese arrived in the 16th century, and they were driven by a desire to explore, but also, to conquer. They wanted gold, they wanted new trade routes,
Oh.
and they wanted land to claim for their empires.
And I guess they weren't too concerned about who might already be living there.
Sadly, that's true. Their arrival marked a real turning point. It led to colonization, the spread of diseases that were devastating to the indigenous people, and of course the transatlantic slave trade, which is just horrific.
Yeah, it's a very dark period in the continent's history, for sure.
It is. It's a reminder of how awful colonialism was.
But eventually South America fought back, right?
They did. In the early 1800s, there was a wave of independence movements. People like Simon Bolivar led the fight against Spanish rule.
Yeah, I've heard that name.
It was a turbulent time, lots of conflict and struggle, but it led to the birth of new nations.
It sounds like it wasn't an easy road to freedom. So what happened after independence? Did things settle down at all?
Well, not really. The 20th century brought its own set of challenges. South America saw the rise and fall of military dictatorships. They got caught up in the Cold War. And there was a lot of economic inequality and social unrest. It's a really complex history, full of both triumph and tragedy.
Wow. It sounds like the continent's been on a wild ride.
Yeah.
So where does South America stand today? I mean, where is it headed in the 21st century?
Well, that's a great question. And it's one that we're going to dig into a lot more as we continue our deep dive. But let's just say that South America is a continent that's on the move, constantly evolving, always adapting. And it's a vibrant mix of cultures, a resilient spirit, and a future full of possibilities.
Okay, you've definitely got me hooked. I'm excited to explore all those possibilities with you. So we've talked about the landscapes and the roller coaster history of South America, but what about the people? We can't forget about the music, the food, the art, all the things that make a culture come alive, right?
Oh, absolutely. And what's really amazing about South America is just how diverse the cultures are. It's like a tapestry woven together from indigenous traditions and European influences, African rhythms, Asian flavors. You can really feel that blend everywhere you go.
That's awesome. Where should we even start? Let's talk about the music.
Yeah.
I mean, South America is basically rhythm and dance, right?
It totally is. You've got everything.
Oh.
From the tango in Argentina, which is so passionate and dramatic, to the samba in Brazil with that infectious energy that just makes you want to move. There's really a genre for every mood. And don't forget about cumbia from Colombia.
Colombia.
It has its roots in African and indigenous rhythms.
Like a continent that's always dancing, always moving to a different beat.
Yeah, and the literature is just as rich and diverse. You've got Gabriel Garcia Marquez from Colombia, who kind of blew everyone away with his magical realism, blurring the lines between reality and fantasy. And then there's Isabel Allende from Chile, whose novels mix history, politics, and magical elements.
I've always been fascinated by magical realism. It's like you get to peek into another world, a world where anything is possible.
Totally. And let's not forget about the food. South American cuisine is this amazing melting pot. So many flavors, reflecting all those different cultures.
Okay, now you're talking. I love food. Tell me more.
Well, you've got the African-influenced dishes of Bahia in Brazil, known for its amazing seafood stews and all those spices. Then you've got the blend of Andean and European flavors in Peru. There's truly something for everyone. And you can't talk about South American food without mentioning Argentina and their asado. Their style of grilling meat is like an art form.
Okay, you're making me hungry.
Yeah.
And what about that drink I keep hearing about, mate? It seems like it's more than just a caffeine fix.
You're right, mate. It's that herbal infusion that's so popular in Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay. It's like a social ritual, a way of connecting with people, sharing stories, just enjoying each other's company.
So it's like the South American version of a coffee break, but with a little more soul.
Exactly. And speaking of soul, let's go back to the people who call this continent home. We can't forget about the indigenous populations. They have such a rich history, and their diverse cultures and traditions have survived for centuries.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the Mapuche people in Chile. They have those beautiful textiles and such a deep connection to the land.
Right, the Mapuche. They're known for their resistance to colonization, their strong sense of community, and their beliefs that emphasize harmony with nature.
And it's not just them. There's so many other indigenous groups, each with their own unique customs.
Yeah, up in the Andes, you have the Quechua people, known for their textiles, their farming practices, and their knowledge of medicinal plants. And in the Amazon, you have so many indigenous tribes, many of whom live in relative isolation, preserving their traditional ways of life.
It's just a powerful reminder of the incredible diversity of cultures in the world and how important it is to protect them. But I'm also thinking about the challenges these communities face, especially with deforestation and climate change threatening their homelands.
Yeah, it's a serious issue. We really need to recognize how vital these indigenous communities are for protecting biodiversity and promoting sustainability. They have a deep understanding of their environment, and we need to listen to their voices.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've touched upon this mix of cultures, the music, the food, and the resilience of the indigenous people.
Mm.
But what about the hollow continent idea? What other factors have contributed to that pattern of settlement?
Well, besides the geography, history has played a big role. During the colonial period, major ports and trading centers grew up along the coasts. That drew in people and drove the economy.
So the coast kind of became the gateway to the continent,
Yeah.
shaping everything.
Right. Think about cities like Rio de Janeiro, Buenos Aires, or Lima. They were hubs for trade, for culture, for political power. They attracted people from all over. And even today, so many of South America's big industries are still concentrated in these coastal regions.
So it's like a legacy of the past that's still playing out. But it also raises questions about inequality, about who has access to resources. If so much is focused on the coast, what about everyone else in the interior?
That's an important point. There often is a gap between the economic opportunities on the coast and those inland. And that leads to issues like migration, poverty, and social unrest. It's a complex problem that South American countries are still working to address.
And it's probably connected to the environmental issues we discussed, right? If there's pressure to develop the interior, that could put even more stress on places like the Amazon.
Exactly. It's about finding a balance, how to develop the economy while protecting the environment. There's a growing awareness of the need for sustainable development, with both governments and businesses trying to figure out how to promote growth and protect the environment at the same time.
It's about finding solutions that work for everyone and for the planet. Speaking of people, I've heard that South Americans are known for their warmth and hospitality. Is that true?
Oh, absolutely. No matter where you go, whether it's dancing in Buenos Aires, sipping mate with gauchos in Uruguay, or exploring the markets in La Paz, you'll always be met with open arms. It's a very welcoming culture.
That's the best kind of travel. It's about connecting with people, sharing experiences, and really getting a feel for the local way of life.
And that's what South America is all about. It's a continent that embraces life, all of it, the joys, the sorrows, the struggles, and the triumphs. You can really feel that pulse of humanity there.
It sounds incredible. Okay, you've convinced me I need to book a trip. But before I do, tell me a little bit about the political landscape of South America. We talked about the history of dictatorships and revolutions, but where do things stand today? What are the major political trends now?
It's a really interesting question. South America's politics are complex, always changing. The 20th century, like we said, was pretty unstable. Military dictatorships, internal conflicts, they all left their mark.
Yeah, it reminds you that democracy is fragile. It's something we have to protect, But it sounds like things have shifted in the last few decades, right?
Yeah, for sure. There's been a big move towards democracy and working together as a region. Many countries have made the change to democratic systems, and there's a growing focus on social issues, on human rights, and on economic development.
That's good to hear. But I imagine there are still obstacles, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the big challenges that South America is facing today?
Well, economic inequality is a big one. Even though some countries have seen a lot of economic growth, there's still a big gap between the rich and the poor. And then there's corruption. It really hurts people's trust in institutions and makes it harder to get things done.
What about the environment? We already talked about the threats to the Amazon. Are
Yeah.
there other environmental issues they're dealing with?
Definitely. Climate change is a huge problem. The effects are everywhere,
Yeah.
from glaciers melting in the Andes to droughts and floods becoming more common and more intense. Deforestation, mining, pollution, they're all damaging the continent's ecosystems.
It sounds like there's a lot to worry about. Are there any bright spots? Any signs of hope or progress?
Oh, for sure. There are so many people working for social justice and environmental protection. Grassroots organizations, activists, indigenous communities, they're all leading the way. And there's more awareness now about the need for sustainable development. Governments and businesses are looking for ways to grow the economy without destroying the environment.
That's great to hear. It seems like South America is at a turning point. Lots of challenges, but also a lot of potential for positive change.
Absolutely. It's a continent with so much to offer the world. Amazing biodiversity, natural resources, vibrant cultures, and a resilient spirit.
Well, after this deep dive, I'm feeling inspired and definitely wanting to learn more.
And that's what's so great about exploring, right? It makes you curious, it changes how you see things, and it opens your mind to new possibilities.
So to wrap up this incredible journey, I want to leave everyone with one last thought. What can we learn from South America? What can we take away from their triumphs, their struggles, and their resilience? How can we apply that to our own lives and to the world around us?
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking questions. That's what I would say. South America will keep surprising you, it will inspire you, and its story is far from over.
Thanks for joining us on this adventure. We hope you've gained a new appreciation for South America, for all its complexities, its beauty, and its potential. Until next time, keep exploring.